A boy with dirt under his fingernails stood in the marble lobby of Chicago's most expensive law firm, holding a wrinkled envelope like it contained the world's last secret. The security guard reached for his radio before the revolving door had even released the child fully into the space. 13-year-old Marcus Chen had bare feet, a threadbare jacket 2 sizes too small, eyes that had seen too much, too soon. He clutched a plastic shopping bag against his chest, the kind you get from corner stores in neighborhoods where people count pennies. The guard's name tag read Wilson. His voice carried that particular exhaustion of a man who'd spent 22 years removing homeless people from buildings where monthly rent cost more than most families earned in a year. "Stop right there, kid. Private property. You need an appointment." Marcus's voice came out steadier than his hands. "I need to see Jonathan Hartwell. I have something he needs to translate." The word translate moved through that gold-trimmed lobby like electricity through water. This wasn't just any law firm. Hartwell and Monroe specialized in international contracts. They handled documents in 43 languages, charged corporations $1,800 per page for certified translations. And here stood a street kid, barefoot, filthy, probably hadn't eaten in 2 days, claiming he had something that needed translating. Wilson's expression shifted from annoyed to almost entertained. "You have something that needs translating? Kid, do you have any idea what translation services cost here?" "I know exactly what they cost," Marcus said. He pulled a yellowed envelope from his bag, handling it like glass. "That's why I'm here. My mother said this firm handled the original document, said they'd understand why it matters." "Your mother?" Wilson made it sound like an accusation. "And where is she?" "Dead." The word fell flat, emotionless, because Marcus had said it 87 times in the last 4 days, and it had stopped feeling real. 5 days ago, sepsis from an infected tooth. She couldn't afford the dentist. Something flickered behind Wilson's professional distance, but his hand stayed on his radio. "Look, I'm sorry about your mother, son, but this isn't—" "Is there a problem here?" The voice cut through the lobby like a scalpel through skin. Marcus turned to see a man descending the curved staircase with the kind of presence that made everyone in the room instinctively straighten their spines. Late 40s, silver at his temples, a suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. Jonathan Hartwell. Marcus recognized him from the photographs his mother had kept hidden in a shoebox, photographs she'd refused to explain, but would look at sometimes with an expression Marcus had never understood until this moment. It was grief. She'd been grieving someone who was still alive. "Sir," Wilson began, "just a situation with a street rat who wandered in," Hartwell finished. His eyes raked over Marcus with open disgust. "Wilson, call Child Protective Services." "I'm not looking for a shelter," Marcus said, louder than he'd intended. "I'm looking for someone who can read this." He pulled the document from the envelope with shaking hands, pages yellowed with age, covered in what looked like 6 different writing systems, beautiful calligraphy that had faded but remained legible. Hartwell's eyes landed on the document, and something changed in his face. Just for a second, a flicker of recognition quickly masked, but Marcus saw it. "Where did you get that?" Hartwell's voice had gone very quiet. "My mother, Carmen Chen. She worked here 12 years ago." The lobby went silent. Marcus watched Hartwell's face cycle through emotions too quickly to name. "Carmen Chen," Hartwell repeated slowly. "The custodian." The way he said it, the dismissiveness, the contempt. It made Marcus's hands clench into fists. "She wasn't just a custodian. She was a translator. She spoke 8 languages. She helped you." "She was hired to empty trash cans and mop floors," Hartwell cut him off, which she did adequately until she quit without notice. If she told you anything different, she was lying. She wasn't lying. Marcus's shout echoed off marble walls. Lawyers and clients froze, watching. She translated documents for you. Important documents. Documents like this one. Before we go deeper into this case, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. Hartwell descended the last few steps. Let me tell you something about your mother, boy. Carmen Chen was a nobody who spoke broken Mandarin and cleaned my floors. Whatever fantasy she filled your head with, they were just delusions. Then prove it, Marcus said. This document. You said she was nobody. You said she couldn't translate, so prove it. Read this. Tell me what it says. Hartwell's laugh was sharp, mocking. You think I'm going to stand here and play games with a street urchin? I think you can't read it. I think my mother could do something you can't. I think that's why you're angry. The air in the lobby crackled with tension. Hartwell's face flushed red. You want me to translate this? Hartwell snatched the document. Fine. Let's see what fairy tale your mother left you. He held the paper up to the light. The first section appeared to be in Mandarin. Hartwell's eyes moved across the characters, and Marcus saw his confidence waver. This is bureaucratic language. Property transfer documentation. This calligraphy is archaic. I'd need my translation team to... I thought you were an expert, Marcus interrupted. My mother could read that in her sleep. Your mother worked the night shift. The only thing she read was the label on cleaning supplies. Try the next section, the Arabic part. Hartwell's eyes moved to the second section. His confidence crumbled further. This is specialized legal Arabic. Medieval period, possibly. I would need to consult with the French section, third paragraph. This is archaic French legal language. It would require specialized historical translation. The Russian, bottom of page 2. Enough! Hartwell's shout rattled the chandelier. I'm not going to stand here and be mocked by some child. I understand exactly how it works, Marcus said, his voice shaking with rage. My mother spent 12 years working night shifts in this building. And you know what she found. He pulled another document from his bag. She found this. Translation work that you billed clients for, tens of thousands of dollars. Except you didn't do the translations. She did. At night, when everyone had gone home, she'd translate your documents, the ones in Mandarin, Arabic, French, Russian, Korean, Portuguese, German, Japanese, all the languages you claimed to be fluent in but actually weren't. The lobby had gone completely silent. She kept records, dates, case numbers, billing statements. Every time you charged a client for expert translation that you didn't actually do. Those are lies, Hartwell said, but his voice lacked conviction. Are they? Because my mother also kept copies. Copies of her translations next to the ones you submitted under your name. Word for word identical. Except hers were done at 2 a.m. in the janitor's closet, and yours were submitted at 9 a.m. with your signature. Hartwell's face had drained of all color. Around them, phones were recording now. You're making serious accusations that could constitute defamation. For telling the truth? I have 12 years of evidence here. Every document she translated, every invoice you submitted, every lie you told. Your mother stole confidential client files. She made copies of her own work, Marcus interrupted. Work you stole from her. Work you profited from while paying her $9 an hour to scrub toilets. A door opened on the second floor, more lawyers appearing, drawn by the commotion. Why did she quit? Marcus asked. 12 years ago. Why? Hartwell's jaw clenched. She got pregnant. With me. And when she told you, when she asked for maternity leave, for health insurance, What did you tell her? Silence. You told her she was replaceable. You told her custodians don't get benefits. So she left. And while she was gone, while she was raising me alone, you stole the only valuable thing she'd ever earned. This is fantasy. My mother was a linguistic prodigy who immigrated from Beijing at 19 with a master's degree in comparative linguistics. She spoke Mandarin, Cantonese, French, Arabic, Russian, German, Korean, and Portuguese fluently. He stepped forward. Hartwell stepped back. And you knew all of this. You saw her genius. And instead of hiring her properly, you exploited her. You let her keep cleaning floors while secretly using her work to build your reputation. That's enough. She died in my arms, Marcus said, tears streaming down his face. 5 days ago, from an infection that could have been treated if she'd had health insurance, if she'd been paid fairly instead of $9 an hour. The lobby was completely silent. Her last words were instructions. She told me to come here, told me to bring these documents, told me to make you read this one specific paper, the one you're holding. Hartwell looked down at the document like it was a live snake. What is it? Someone called from the second floor. He doesn't know, because he can't actually read it. I'll have my team translate it, Hartwell said weakly. Your team? You mean the team that's been covering for you for years? A woman's voice cut through the tension. I can read it. Everyone turned. A woman in her 60s stood on the second floor landing. Gray hair pulled back, wire-rimmed, glasses. Dr. Margaret Foster, senior partner, linguistics expert. I'd like to see that document, if you don't mind. Hartwell's hand tightened on the paper. Margaret, this is a private matter. A private matter being filmed by 14 phones in our lobby? Give me the document. It wasn't a request. Dr. Foster adjusted her glasses, studying the pages with careful attention. The silence stretched. Marcus could barely breathe. Finally, Dr. Foster looked up. This is a property deed, written in 8 languages. It's a legal document transferring ownership of a building in Chicago's Chinatown neighborhood. She turned to Marcus. The building is registered to Carmen Chen. Transfer date is listed as 12 years ago. Value assessed at $1.8 million. The lobby erupted. The document states that the property was payment for services rendered, translation services, provided to a real estate consortium. Carmen Chen was hired as an independent contractor. Paid, partially in cash, partially in property. She looked at Hartwell. The law firm that brokered the deal and held the property in escrow was Hartwell and Monroe. The property should have transferred to Carmen Chen after 6 months. According to this, the transfer was scheduled for completion on March 15th, 12 years ago. That's when she quit, Marcus said quietly. Did your mother ever mention owning property? Dr. Foster asked softly. Marcus shook his head. We lived in a studio apartment. We could barely pay rent. According to this, she should have. The question is, what happened to the transfer? All eyes turned to Hartwell. There may have been an administrative error. The escrow period. Documentation might have been misplaced. Misplaced, Dr. Foster repeated flatly. A $1.8 million property transfer was misplaced. Records from that period are digitized and backed up in triplicate, per firm policy that you helped write, Jonathan. Before we continue, take a second and share your thoughts so far in this story below. I read every single one. You stole it, Marcus said. The words came out quiet, numb. You stole her building. I didn't steal anything. The property transfer had complications, legal issues. Carmen left before they could be resolved. She left because you fired her. And while she was gone, you stole the only valuable thing she'd ever earned. Dr. Foster was already on her phone. Get me property records for 1847 South Wentworth Avenue. I want ownership history going back 15 years. I want everything." She looked at Hartwell. "You're suspended. Effective immediately. Don't touch any files." "You can't do this." "You're a fraud. And if what this boy says is true, you're also a thief. Wilson, please escort Mr. Hartwell to his office." Wilson snapped into action with visible satisfaction. As Hartwell was led away, Dr. Foster turned to Marcus. "What's your name, son?" "Marcus Chen." "Marcus, sit down. You look like you're about to pass out." She was right. Marcus was crashing hard. Someone brought water. Someone else brought a sandwich. Dr. Foster gave him a look that suggested refusing wasn't an option. "Eat, then we're going to talk." While Marcus ate, Dr. Foster made phone calls. To property records offices, to attorneys, to people who seemed to jump when she called. Other lawyers gathered. Some looked shocked. Others looked frightened. "You're sure about this?" one asked. "About Jonathan faking translations?" Dr. Foster glanced at Marcus. "Show him." Marcus pulled out the folder. Side-by-side comparisons. His mother's handwritten translations next to typed versions submitted under Hartwell's name. Word for word identical. The young lawyer went pale. "Oh, God, if the translations were fraudulent, every case is potentially compromised. Which means you all need to start pulling files and checking documentation. Now." The lawyers scattered. "Doctor," Foster sat down across from Marcus. "Tell me about your mother." So Marcus told her about Carmen Chen, who'd immigrated with a master's degree that nobody would recognize, who'd taken a custodian job because it was the only work she could find, who discovered the firm had a translation problem and had offered to help, who thought they were going to hire her properly. Instead, Hartwell had offered her a deal. Translate documents as needed. Get paid cash under the table. Keep working as a custodian. She needed the money, Marcus said quietly, and I think part of her was just happy someone recognized her skills. How long did this go on? 8 months, until she got pregnant and asked for proper employment. That's when Hartwell told her she was replaceable. And the building? Marcus shook his head. She never mentioned it. We lived like we had nothing. Maybe she didn't know. If the escrow period was ongoing when she left, if Hartwell handled all the documentation. She pulled up something on her phone. "This is the property. Do you recognize it?" Marcus looked at the image. A 3-story building in Chinatown. Something about it was familiar. "My mother took me there sometimes. When I was little. We walked past it. She'd always stop and look at it." "She was looking at what should have been hers," Dr. Foster said softly. "The property records came through." Dr. Foster's expression grew darker as she read. "The property was transferred, but not to Carmen Chen. It was transferred to a holding company, J.H. Properties, LLC, registered 6 months after your mother left. J.H. Jonathan Hartwell. The documentation shows that Carmen Chen signed a waiver, declining the property in exchange for a cash settlement of $50,000. That's a lie. My mother never saw $50,000. "I believe you, but the signature on file matches her documented signature, which means either she signed something without understanding what it was, or someone forged it. I'm getting our forensic documents specialist on this." "My sister," Marcus said suddenly. "Lily. She's outside. In the alley. She's only 8. Dr. Foster was on her feet immediately, but Marcus was already running. Out through the door, around the corner, to where he'd left Lily. She was across the street with a woman in a food truck uniform. The woman had given her hot chocolate and a jacket. Marcus crossed the street and pulled his sister into a hug. "Is it done?" Lily asked. "I don't know yet, but I think maybe things are going to be okay." It was the first time he'd said those words in 5 days. Dr. Foster met them at the lobby entrance with a warm smile for Lily. We need to talk. But first, let's get your sister somewhere comfortable." She led them to a conference room, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Chicago. Lily's eyes went wide. "Is this where rich people have meetings?" she whispered. "Sometimes. But today, it's where we're going to figure out what happened to your mother's building." Within minutes, someone had brought food. Real food. Lily ate like she'd never seen food before. Dr. Foster made calls, reviewed documents, typed furiously. Other lawyers came and went, speaking in low voices about scope of fraud and client liability. Finally, she closed her laptop. The signature was forged. Our document specialist confirmed it. Jonathan Hartwell used a signature from a cleaning supplies requisition form and superimposed it onto the legal document. Marcus felt something hot and sharp twist in his chest. He stole it. He actually stole it. He stole it. And we have proof. I've already contacted the district attorney's office. "What does that mean?" Lily asked. "It means Mr. Hartwell is going to jail. And it means the property your mother was supposed to inherit belongs to you now." The words didn't make sense. Marcus heard them, but they didn't connect to anything real. "I don't understand. Even if we get the building back, we can't maintain it. We can't pay property taxes. The building generates income. It has commercial tenants on the ground floor and residential tenants above. According to these records, it's been producing roughly $8,000 per month in rental income for the past 12 years. She paused. "That's income that should have been going to your mother. Income that instead went to Jonathan Hartwell. We're talking about well over $1 million in stolen rental income. Plus, the building has appreciated. Current assessed value is $3.2 million. $3.2 million. The room tilted. Marcus grabbed the table. "Why didn't she fight?" The question came out broken. If she knew about the building, why didn't she fight for it? "I don't think she knew. The final transfer paperwork would have been sent to her address. But by then, she'd already moved. She was pregnant, alone, probably scared. The paperwork likely went to her old address, and she never saw it." "Hartwell would have known that," one of the other lawyers said. "He would have known he could forge her signature and claim the property without her ever knowing. That's premeditation. That's calculated theft." "Before we go deeper, I would love to hear your point of view. Tell me what part hit you the hardest in the story and share your thoughts in the comments." Dr. Foster stood, started pacing. "Here's what's going to happen. First, we're going to transfer property ownership to you and your sister immediately. Second, we're going to calculate all stolen rental income plus interest. Third, we're going to file criminal charges against Jonathan Hartwell." "How long will that take?" Marcus asked. "The criminal case? Months, maybe years. But the property transfer can happen within weeks. You own that building, Marcus. As of right now, legally, it's yours." Marcus looked at Lily. She was 8 years old. She still had their mother's jacket wrapped around her shoulders. "I don't know how to own a building," Marcus said quietly. "You'll learn, and you'll have help. This firm owes you that much. We owe your mother that much." The door opened, a man in a suit carrying a badge. "Detective Morrison, DA's office sent me. I understand we have a fraud case." What followed was hours of statements. Marcus told his story again and again. "Your mother kept good records," Detective Morrison said. "These timestamps, the security logs, this is solid evidence. And the forged signature, that's going to be easy to prove in court." "When will he be arrested?" "Tonight. Mr. Hartwell isn't going home this evening." Around midnight, Dr. Foster drove them to a hotel. "You're not going back to that studio apartment tonight. You're exhausted. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps." The hotel room had 2 beds, hot water that didn't run out, Room service. Lily fell asleep almost immediately. Marcus stood at the window, looking out at Chicago's skyline. Somewhere out there was the building his mother should have owned. The building she'd walked past, looking at what should have been hers, never knowing it had been stolen. He pulled out his phone. No missed calls, no messages, because there was no one left to call. Just him and Lily against the world. Except now they had $3.2 million in property. He opened his mother's folder, started reading her translations. The work was beautiful, precise and poetic. She hadn't just translated words. She'd translated meaning, nuance, cultural context. In the margins, she'd written notes to herself in Mandarin. One note stood out, for Marcus and Lily, so they never have to clean floors to prove their worth. She'd known about the injustice, about being brilliant and unrecognized, and she'd kept records not for herself, but for her children, for this exact moment. Marcus closed the folder, pressed it against his chest. "I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry you never got to see this. I'm sorry you died, thinking we had nothing." But he made a promise then. He would make her work matter, would make sure people knew Carmen Chen wasn't just a custodian, would build something with her legacy that honored her genius, her kindness, her perseverance. Morning came. Lily woke up confused. When she remembered where they were, she cried. Dr. Foster picked them up at 9. She looked like she hadn't slept much either. "I have news. Good news and complicated news." They sat in Dr. Foster's office this time. Photographs of her family on the shelves. Diplomas in multiple languages. "The good news is that property transfer is already in motion. We have a judge who's willing to fast-track it. You should have legal ownership within 2 weeks. And the complicated news? Jonathan Hartwell is claiming he acted in good faith. His lawyer argues that he genuinely believed Carmen had signed the waiver, that he had no way of knowing it was forged. That's a lie. Probably. But it's a lie that's hard to disprove. Unless we can find evidence that he knew the signature was forged, this becomes a civil matter instead of a criminal one." "What does that mean?" "It means he might not go to jail. But you can sue him for the stolen rental income for damages. We're talking millions in potential recovery." "I don't want millions. I want justice." "I understand. But the legal system doesn't always give us what we want. It gives us what we can prove." She pulled up images on her computer. "This is the building." The image showed a beautiful 3-story structure. Red brick, traditional Chinese architectural details. Ground floor had a restaurant and a small grocery. Upper floors had residential windows. "It's beautiful," Lily whispered. "It's yours. The current tenants have valid leases that we'll honor. The restaurant has been there for 8 years. Family-owned. The residential tenants are mostly elderly, long-time residents. Good people. What about Hartwell? Where is the money going?" Dr. Foster's expression darkened. "Into investments, property development. He was using your mother's rental income to fund other purchases. He owns 4 other properties in Chicago, all bought with money that should have been yours. There's something else." She pulled out a folder. "Your mother tried to report what was happening 3 times. She filed complaints with HR, with the ethics board. Every time the complaints were dismissed." Marcus read the complaints. His mother's handwriting, her clear explanations, her evidence, all dismissed. They knew. The whole firm knew. Some people knew, enough to make this a systemic failure. "Are you going to lose your firm?" Lily asked. Dr. Foster smiled sadly. "Probably. We're facing lawsuits. We're dealing with an ethics investigation. The firm as it existed is done." "I'm sorry," Marcus said. "Don't be. We deserve it. We let this happen. We created an environment where your mother could be invisible. We failed her. She closed the folder. But we can make it right. Not completely, but something. How? The property generates $8,000 per month, $96,000 per year. Enough to live on, to go to school, to build a life. But I think you could do more with it. She pulled up architectural plans. The upper floors are residential, but they're currently underutilized. You could evict them, renovate, charge market rate, and probably double your income. Marcus felt sick. I'm not evicting elderly people. I didn't think you would. Which brings me to the alternative. You could convert the space into something else. A community center, a school, a place that serves the neighborhood. I'm 13. I don't know how to run a community center. No, but you know what it's like to need one. You know what your mother went through. She leaned forward. Marcus, your mother was a bridge. She connected languages, cultures, people. What if you took her building and turned it into a place that does the same thing? The idea settled into Marcus's chest like a seed. If you were in Marcus's shoes, facing a decision like this, what would you do? Share your thoughts in the comments. A language center, he said slowly. A place where immigrants can learn English, where kids can learn their heritage languages, where people like my mother can have their skills recognized. Exactly. But I don't have money for that. You have a lawsuit against Hartwell, against every property he bought with stolen money. We're talking millions. You use that money to fund the center. You turn what he stole into something that helps the exact people he exploited. Lily tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Mama would like that. And she was right. Okay, Marcus said. Let's do it. Dr. Foster smiled. I was hoping you'd say that, because I already started making calls. Over the next several weeks, things happened fast. Property transferred into Marcus and Lily's names. Dr. Foster became their appointed guardian for legal purposes. Hartwell was arrested for tax evasion. The fraud charges were pending, but at least he was in custody. The building became theirs. Officially, legally, indisputably theirs. Marcus met the tenants, the elderly residents upstairs, the family who ran the Golden Phoenix restaurant, the couple who operated the grocery. They were terrified. Change of ownership often meant eviction. Marcus called a meeting. Everyone gathered in the restaurant after hours. Suspicious faces, worried eyes. I'm not here to raise your rent, Marcus said. I'm not here to evict anyone. This building was supposed to belong to my mother. She died 5 days ago, without ever knowing she owned it. And I want to use it the way she would have, as a place that helps people. He explained his idea. A language center. Free classes for immigrants. Translation services for people who couldn't afford $1,000 fees. The restaurant and grocery stay exactly as they are. Your leases are honored. Your rent doesn't change. But upstairs, we build something that serves the community. An elderly woman in the front row spoke up. Her name was Mrs. Liu. Your mother, what was her name? Carmen Chen. Mrs. Liu's eyes went wide. Carmen Chen, who used to visit. Who would help people with documents, translate letters? Marcus felt his throat tighten. You knew her. Everyone knew her. She would walk past this building every week, help people. We thought she just lived in the neighborhood. She owned the building, or she should have. Mrs. Liu started crying. Then others joined her. People who'd known Carmen, who'd been helped by her. We'll help you, Mrs. Liu said firmly. We'll help you build this center. Your mother gave to this community for years. Now we give back. The transformation took 6 months. The lawsuit against Hartwell settled. $800,000 in recovered rental income, plus $200,000 in damages. Hartwell himself looked broken at the settlement hearing. "I'm sorry," he said to Marcus at the end. Marcus looked at him. "My mother would have forgiven you." "I'm not my mother." The money went into renovations. The upper floors were completely rebuilt. 4 classrooms, a library, a computer lab, a community space, the Carmen Chen Language and Cultural Center. They opened on a Saturday in April, 6 months to the day after Carmen's death. The whole neighborhood showed up. Hundreds of people. Marcus gave a speech, his first ever. "My mother spent her life building bridges between languages, cultures, people. She did it in janitor's closets at 3 a.m. She did it for $9 an hour. She did it because she believed everyone deserves to be seen." His voice cracked. "She never got to see this, but we see it. We know it. And we're going to make sure everyone else knows it too." The crowd erupted in applause. The center started small. English classes twice a week, Mandarin classes for kids, computer skills, document translation on a sliding scale. Marcus threw himself into it. Dr. Foster became an unofficial advisor. Teachers volunteered. Community members donated time. It grew. By the end of the first year, they had 200 students. By the end of the second year, 500. The story got out. Local news, then national. Boy exposes law firm fraud, builds community center. Marcus hated the attention. He wasn't a hero. He was just a kid who'd loved his mother and refused to let her work be forgotten. College acceptances came. Full rides to prestigious schools. Marcus turned them all down. "I can't leave. The center needs me." "The center will survive without you," Dr. Foster said gently. "Your mother would want you to get an education." "My mother got an education, and nobody cared. What matters isn't the degree, it's the work. And my work is here." But he did take online classes, business management, nonprofit administration, languages, adding Korean and Japanese to his fluent Mandarin and English. By the time Marcus turned 18, the center was an institution. They'd expanded to offer job placement services, helping multilingual workers find positions that valued their skills, everything his mother should have had. The law firm had collapsed completely. Dr. Foster had moved on, started a smaller practice focused on immigrant rights. She took cases for free more often than not, said it was penance. Marcus visited Hartwell once 3 years after everything happened. The man was living in a small apartment, working as a paralegal for a nonprofit. "Why are you here?" Hartwell asked. "Maybe to see what happened to you. Maybe to understand if you learned anything." Hartwell gestured around his apartment. "I learned that everything I built was a lie. That your mother was worth 100 of me." "Yes, she was. The center. I follow the news about it. It's remarkable." "It's what she built. I'm just finishing what she started. I took a class there. Last month, Korean. I'm trying to actually learn the languages I claim to know." Marcus felt something shift. Not forgiveness, but maybe understanding. The center offers advanced classes, if you're willing to show up and do it honestly. "I'd like that," Hartwell said quietly. Marcus left without saying more. He'd offered a bridge even to someone who didn't deserve one, because that's what his mother would have done. Back at the center, graduation was happening. 50 students completing their English language certification. Marcus watched from the back as they walked across the stage. Each one received a certificate. Each one received a copy of a photograph. Carmen Chen, smiling, holding baby Lily, standing in front of the building. "Your mother made this possible," Marcus told each graduate. "Remember her, and build bridges of your own." Before I share what happened next in Marcus's journey, I want to know, what would you have done if someone stole something that valuable from your family? How would you have used it? Drop your thoughts below. That evening, Marcus and Lily stood in the center alone. "Do you think she knows?" Lily asked. She was 11 now. I think she knows. I think wherever she is, she sees what we built, and I think she's proud. I miss her, Lily said quietly. Me too. They stood in silence. Then Lily asked the question she'd been holding for 3 years. Was it worth it? All of this. Was it worth losing her? Marcus thought about it. No, nothing is worth losing her. If I could trade all of this to have her back, I would, in a heartbeat. But we can't have her back. And what we can do is make sure her work wasn't in vain. That's not worth losing her, but it's worth the life we have now. Lily nodded. She understood. They turned off the lights, locked up, walked. Home together. To a small apartment near the center, paid for with honest work. 5 years after opening, the Carmen Chen Language and Cultural Center served 1,500 students annually. Marcus was 21. He'd learned to navigate nonprofit boards, funding applications, government grants. He'd learned to be a leader. But some days, he still felt like that 13-year-old kid in the lobby, not knowing if anyone would listen. The expansion came from an unexpected source. A tech company reached out. They wanted to fund an initiative, language education for immigrant communities, $5 million, enough to expand to multiple cities. Marcus sat with the offer for a week. What's the catch? He asked the company representative, Sarah. No catch. We want to support this work. And the publicity? The press releases about your company supporting immigrant education? Sarah looked uncomfortable. Yes, there will be publicity, but that doesn't make the impact less real. Marcus thought about his mother, about exploitation dressed up as generosity. I'll take the money, but the center stays independent. You don't get naming rights. You don't get to dictate programming. You don't get to use our students in marketing. You give the money and step back. We do the work. Sarah blinked. That's not usually how these partnerships work. Then we don't have a partnership. We have a donation. Take it or leave it. Sarah took it. The money came through. Marcus put it into a trust carefully managed. They opened centers in 3 more cities over the next 2 years. Detroit, Houston, Los Angeles. Each one adapted to its local community. The Detroit Center focused on Arabic and Somali. Houston emphasized Spanish and Vietnamese. Los Angeles needed everything: Korean, Tagalog, Armenian, Russian, Spanish, Mandarin. Marcus traveled between them all, learning, adapting, listening. In Houston, he met a woman named Maria. She was cleaning offices at night. She spoke 3 languages fluently. She had a degree in linguistics from Venezuela that nobody would recognize. The parallels were eerie. I can help you, Marcus told her. We have programs. You don't have to clean floors. I don't mind cleaning floors. It's honest work. What I mind is people thinking that's all I can do. Marcus hired her on the spot, made her director of the Houston Center's translation services, paid her what she was worth. Why? Maria asked through tears. You don't even know me. I knew my mother. That's enough. Stories like that happened all the time. People who were invisible becoming visible. People whose skills were dismissed finding places that valued them. Success brought new challenges. The centers were expensive to run. They needed sustainable funding. Marcus started tracking outcomes, graduation rates, employment statistics, earnings increases. The results were overwhelming. 92% of students who completed certification found better jobs within 6 months. Average earnings increased by 48%. Family stress indicators all decreased significantly. The centers weren't just teaching languages. They were transforming communities. Marcus presented these findings to city councils, state legislatures, federal agencies, arguing for funding, for recognition. It was exhausting, political work, but necessary. When Marcus turned 23, Dr. Foster threw him a birthday party at the original center. Small gathering. Close friends. Mrs. Liu brought dumplings. The family from Golden Phoenix catered. Lily had decorated with photographs. "You've built something extraordinary," Dr. Foster said. "Your mother would be so proud." "I didn't build it. She built it. I just finished it." "No," Mrs. Liu interrupted. "Your mother laid the foundation. You built the house. Different work, both necessary." The party wound down. Eventually it was just Marcus and Lily. "I got into MIT," Lily said quietly. Marcus froze. "What?" "Full scholarship, early admission, linguistics program." "Lily, that's incredible. I don't know if I should go. The center needs me." Marcus grabbed her shoulders. "Yes, you can. This is exactly what Mama wanted, for us to have opportunities. But the center will survive without you, just like it'll survive without me eventually. We're building something bigger than either of us." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I feel like I'm abandoning you." "You're honoring her memory by becoming everything she wanted you to be, by taking the opportunities she never had. Will you be okay?" Marcus pulled her into a hug. "I'll be fine. Proud. So proud of you." That fall, Lily left for MIT. Marcus drove her to Boston, helped her move in, cried when he said goodbye. Then he drove back to Chicago alone. The center felt emptier without her. But it was also fuller. More students, more programs, more impact. They'd just launched a new initiative, Translation Services for Medical Facilities, helping hospitals communicate with patients who spoke limited English. It was exactly the kind of service that could have saved his mother's life. 10 years after that day in the law firm lobby, Marcus stood at a podium in Washington, D.C. The National Immigrant Rights Conference had invited him to speak. 3,000 attendees, media coverage, politicians in the audience. He was 25 now, director of an organization that operated in 12 cities, served 8,000 students annually, employed 300 people. But standing at that podium, he felt like that 13-year-old kid again. Scared. Hoping someone would listen. He started with his mother's story. The real story. About a brilliant woman who cleaned floors because nobody would recognize her credentials. Who translated documents at 3 a.m. for exploitative wages. Who died in poverty while the man who stole from her lived in luxury. "My mother's story is not unique," Marcus said. "There are millions of Carmen Chens in this country. Millions of people with extraordinary skills who are invisible because of language barriers, because of systemic exploitation." He talked about the centers, the students, the outcomes, the data that proved investing in immigrant communities wasn't charity. It was economic development, social justice. We talk about the American dream, but we build systems that make that dream accessible only to people who already have advantages, who already speak English, who already understand how to navigate institutional barriers. My mother had the American dream. She'd earned it. A master's degree, 8 languages, skills in high demand. And she died with nothing because the systems in place allowed people like Jonathan Hartwell to exploit her. He paused, looked out at the audience. We can do better. We must do better. Not through charity, not through pity, but through justice, through recognition that every person has value. The Carmen Chen Foundation is one model, but we need 100 more, 1,000 more. We need systemic change that makes it impossible for another brilliant immigrant to die unrecognized. We need credential recognition reform. We need enforcement of labor laws. We need language access. Most of all, Marcus concluded, his voice breaking, we need to see people, really see them, not as custodians or immigrants or service workers, but as complex human beings with stories and skills and dreams and value. My mother cleaned floors. She also spoke 8 languages fluently. She also earned a master's degree. She also translated complex legal documents with accuracy and poetry. She also raised 2 children alone. She also built bridges between cultures. She also deserved better than she got. They're not contradictions. They're the same person. And until we can hold all of that together, the humble work and the extraordinary skill, the invisible labor, and the undeniable genius, we'll keep losing people like her. We can do better. We are doing better. And we won't stop until every Carmen Chen in this country is seen, valued, and given the opportunities they've earned. The applause was thunderous, standing ovation, politicians taking notes, advocates nodding, journalists typing frantically. He'd used his platform, told his mother's story, demanded change. Afterward, dozens of people wanted to talk, share their own stories. Marcus listened to each one. A woman approached, distinguished, a congressional representative from California. Your mother's story moved me. I want to introduce legislation, credential recognition reform, language access requirements, labor protections. Would you be willing to help? To testify? Marcus didn't hesitate. Yes, absolutely yes. Because this was the work, not just running centers, but changing the systems that created the need for those centers. Flying back to Chicago, Marcus thought about that day 10 years ago. Standing in that lobby with nothing but a plastic bag and his mother's documents, facing down a man who'd stolen everything. He'd been so scared, so alone, so certain nobody would listen. But they had listened, and now the whole country was listening. The plane touched down late at night. Marcus took a cab straight to the original center. He still had keys, still visited late at night when he needed to think. The building was quiet. Just the night cleaning crew working. People who were paid fair wages, given benefits, treated with dignity. He walked through the halls, past classrooms where thousands had learned, past the library, past the wall of photographs showing graduates, success stories, lives transformed. And there, in the main hall, the photograph. Carmen Chen, smiling, holding baby Lily, standing in front of the building that should have been hers. Marcus stood in front of it for a long time. I did it, Mama. I made them see you. Made them see what you built. Made them understand that you were more than just a woman who cleaned floors. He thought about what came next. The legislation, the expansion, the growing movement. It was overwhelming sometimes. The scope, the resistance. But then he thought about his mother, about her translating at 3 a.m., about her teaching him Mandarin when exhausted, about her gentle dignity. If she could do that, maintain hope and kindness while being treated as invisible, then he could do this. The work would continue. The centers would grow. The movement would build. And maybe someday, no child would have to stand in a marble lobby demanding justice for a parent who deserved better. Maybe someday, every Carmen Chen would be seen while they were still alive, to know it mattered. Marcus turned off the lights, locked up, walked out into the Chicago night. And tomorrow there would be more work, more students, more challenges, more opportunities to build bridges and demand change. But tonight, standing on the sidewalk outside the building she'd earned and never known she owned, Marcus just felt grateful. Grateful she'd been his mother. Grateful she'd taught him languages and resilience and courage. Grateful her work hadn't died with her. Thank you, Mama, for everything. For the languages, for the love, for the lessons, for showing me what it means to build bridges, even when the world keeps burning them down. The building stood behind him, lights in windows, life in the apartments, the restaurant preparing for tomorrow, the center ready for tomorrow's students, a foundation built on stolen ground, transformed into something beautiful, something just, something that honored the woman who'd made it all possible. Carmen Chen had cleaned floors and translated documents and raised children and died believing she'd left them nothing. But she'd left them everything. The knowledge that invisible work creates visible change. That exploitation can be transformed into justice. That one person's quiet dignity can become a movement. Marcus walked home through streets his mother had walked, past buildings where she'd worked, through a neighborhood she'd served, and he carried her forward, in the languages he spoke, in the bridges he built, in the justice he demanded, because that was the real inheritance, not property, not money, not even the centers, but the unshakable belief that every person has value, that every voice deserves to be heard, that every brilliant mind deserves to be recognized. That was Carmen Chen's legacy, and Marcus would spend his life making sure the world knew it. Thank you for watching this story. If Marcus's journey moved you, if Carmen's struggle resonated, I'd love for you to hit that like button and subscribe to Justice Tales. Every subscription helps us share more stories about people fighting for dignity, for recognition, for the justice they've earned. Drop a comment below and tell me, what part of this story hit you hardest? Was it Carmen's invisible genius? Marcus's courage to demand justice? The community coming together to build something beautiful from stolen ground? I read every single comment, and your thoughts matter. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Someone who's ever felt invisible, someone who's fought for recognition, someone who believes that justice is worth demanding. These stories matter. Your voice matters. And together, we're building bridges, just like Carmen did. Until next time, keep fighting for what's right. Keep seeing the invisible people around you, and keep believing that one person's courage can change everything. This is Justice Tales. Thank you for being part of this community.